What's up, YouTube family? This is your boy, Jonathan Evans, and today we're gonna talk about how to get the bag. I'm excited, let's get into it. Okay, listen to me. Everybody's talking about getting the bag these days. Everybody's talking about growing their financial portfolio. Everybody's talking about what they need to get, what they need to grow, how much they need to have. But they need to understand, in order to get the bag, the Father must trust you with the bag. He must trust you with the bag. And what do I mean? What is the first step in really being in a position to have security with the bag? The question is, does the Father trust you? Are you a, watch this, giver? Most people think getting the bag has to do with hoarding, taking for themselves and receiving. One of the biggest biblical principles is giving. God is the most extravagant giver. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Without giving, there is no experience of anything else. Giving is the biblical principle that God has given us. And you're saying, wait a minute, Jonathan, how in the world does giving have anything to do with my bag? If I want a bag, don't I need to hoard? Don't I need to take in for myself? Don't I need to grow what's mine? And people don't understand that the first step in that is the Father trusting you with what's yours. The Father trusting you with what you're growing. The Father trusting you with your heart, because he knows where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And he wants to know, are you going to be obedient in times of giving for the bag to continue to multiply? Make sure you understand this concept. It's about giving. First, it's about giving to God. Most people are annoyed by that. When they think about giving to God, they're just thinking about the church's building fund. They're thinking about all of these crazy antics that they've experienced in their life when it comes to that. And it's not about that. We're called to give to God because God tells us to. He wants to know, is he first? He wants to know, are we going to seek ye first his kingdom and then let these things be added unto us? Matthew 6:33. He wants to know if Matthew 6:21 is true. What's true about you? He wants to know, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. So he'll come for 10% of the treasure because he wants to know where your heart really is. He wants to know, are you a giver, since he is the owner? But he wants to give you an opportunity. And most people don't understand that in giving, you have an opportunity to show whether you're worthy to be someone God blesses, because he wants to know, are you a cul-de-sac or are you a conduit? He wants to know, can my kingdom flow through you or does it stop at you? And most people are only thinking about getting the bag, receiving the bag, growing the bag. They're not thinking about the fact that the Father is watching them with what they do with the bag. Now, let me help you understand. Most people want to skip God, but they want to ask God for the bag. Okay, listen, let me read this verse to you in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9 and 10. You need to know this. Honor the Lord from your wealth and from the first of all your produce. Let me say that again. Honor the Lord from your wealth and from the first. He wants to be first of all of your produce. So your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine. Wait, let me say that again. You say, what does this have to do with my bag? Honor the Lord with your wealth and the first of your produce, so that your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine. You think God doesn't need your money? He created trees. He's trying to figure out if you are someone he can trust. He's trying to figure out if you're going to put him first. He's trying to figure out where your heart is. He's trying to figure out if he should be giving you a bag because of what you're going to do with the bag. Are you going to rob God and ask for something from God all at the same time? That's what Malachi 3:8 and 9 says. Shall a man rob God? But you are robbing me in tithes and offerings. Therefore, you are cursed with a curse. How are you going to get the bag and grow the bag and you under a curse? Because you're robbing God. So people don't understand that there's a principle of giving that has everything to do with the bag they're trying to receive. Now, this is not a give to get theology, but it's clear that God says your vats will overflow with new wine and your barns will be filled if you keep me first. It's a principle of first. He wants to know if he's first and that you're not going to rob him and ask for something from him, all from the same mouth and all in the same prayer. A lot of people do that. They don't understand how powerful it is when it comes to giving. Now, listen to me. This happened to me in my own life. There was a time in my life where I justified. You know how all of us justify. There was a new house that I was trying to get. I had sold my old house and I didn't pay tithes from the sale of my old house because I had justified the fact that it wasn't really proceeds because I had paid into the house for so long that this really isn't, income. So I can just keep this for myself and use it as the down payment for the next house. Y'all, to keep a long story short, I got rejected by 6 lenders. Me and my wife were in a rental house and a new renter was coming in within 1 month. And here I am, I'm rejected by 6 lenders, figuring that I'm just gonna have to go get a hotel until I can figure this out because a new renter was coming in. What am I gonna do? I gave up. And God was saying, Jonathan, you're robbing me. I said, wait a minute. You know how you justify when you don't need to pay your tithes? Because that wasn't really income, God, because I had paid in so long that it really wasn't income. So, I was doing whatever I could to justify the money I needed for the down payment. I'm trying to get my bag straight because I know where I'm trying to go. And God was saying, yeah, but you're robbing me with your tithes. You just sold your house. You're robbing me, but now you're asking me for another house. And 6 lenders didn't qualify me, and I'm working. I had a job, I had cash flow, I had things in order, and I didn't get qualified 6 times. And the Lord spoke that to me. And then I called one of my buddies. I tried to justify it to him. And he said, Jonathan, anything that comes to my house, I don't justify. I give 10% to God. God's the owner. Like if I own a building and you work in it and I ask for 10% for you to work in my building, are you going to be mad at that? No, I'm not. Well, then why would you be mad if God's the owner that he asked for 10%? Why would you justify that? And I was like, okay, I won't. And so at that moment, I said, okay, Lord, I got on my bill pay. I pushed the button. I sent 10% of what I earned from my previous house over to the church. 4 minutes later, I got a call from another lender that I've never talked to. The lender called me and said, hey, one of your other lenders that couldn't qualify you gave me a call and said, maybe I can help out. So I'm trying to see if I can help out. Guys, I had 6 days left to get to the new house. I said, even if you could qualify me 6 days, you can't do it in 6 days. He said, let me just see your file. I sent him my file. To make a long story short, he called me back and said, I think we can get it done. I said, okay, give it your best shot. In 6 days, I was at the title company closing on the new house. Now you may say, oh, that's by chance. Oh, that's luck. Oh, that didn't have nothing to do with you paying your tithes. When you can find a lender who can close you on a house in 6 days, then come talk to me. You can't tell me that God wasn't saying, I'm waiting on you. You think you're waiting on me. I want to know where your heart is. I want to know if you're going to ask me for a new house when you haven't even given me 10% of the proceeds from your old house. How are you going to rob me and then live under a curse and then try to move forward with a blessing? A lot of people are doing that. They're robbing God. But it doesn't mean just stopping there and robbing God. You're not even going with the concept and the principles that we're called to give to one another. We're called to give to one another. We're called to give not just to the Lord, but to also give to his people. Now, there's a lot of times in your life where you have justified not giving when God calls you to give to somebody. There's somebody in your life, there's a friend in your life, there's people in your life, and you're justifying, I better not give them that much. I know God's telling me to give them this amount, but that's too much. I need to give them $10, not 25. I mean, you start justifying. All the while, the reason why you're hearing that word in your heart is because God is testing you. He wants to know, are you a giver? He wants to know, if I give you a bag and I tell you to give, are you going to do it? And if you're not going to give, then why would I put more in your bag? Like, I want to know if you're going to give to me, but I also want to know if you're going to give to others. I want to know if you're going to follow this massive biblical principle of giving before we talk about your bag. Now, let me read another verse because y'all think I'm playing with you. Let me read another verse. The generous man, Proverbs 11:25. Proverbs 11:25 says this: the generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters will himself be watered. It's straight up. Like, it's straight up the first principle. My dad taught me this. He said, first is giving. Like, if you miss this principle, then you can forget about the bag. Okay, let me read that scripture. Proverbs 11:25. The generous man will be prosperous. So if you're generous, you will be prosperous. That's interesting. And he who waters will himself be watered. Give, and it will be given back to you, pressed down, running over, a full measure. He who waters will be watered. Do I need to say anything else? Is there anything else to say about this principle of giving? I have kids. If I took my kids to the candy store and I gave one of my older kids, I gave them a bag of candy. And they took the candy and they kept it for themselves and wouldn't share for anybody else. The next time we go to the candy store, as a father, and I'm a responsible father, I'm not gonna give them a bag of candy because I know they're not gonna share it. So why would I give them the bag? Now, if I took them, the same group of kids, my kids, to the candy store, and I gave one of the oldest ones one bag of candy to share with their siblings, and they just took off and shared with their siblings, they were sharing with other people in the candy store, they left a couple pieces for themselves. The next time I go to the candy store, not only am I gonna give them the bag, I'm gonna put more candy in it. Simple. Because I know what they're going to do with their bag. The Father knows what you're gonna do with your bag. That's why there's not more in it. And if God is your problem, only God is your solution. You think that you can't build your bag, build your wealth, get your bag because of something you're doing. That you don't have the right job, you don't have, the business didn't work. But if God is taking the bag because he knows what you'll do with the bag, then God is the problem. God is the one who's noticing the problem and correcting the problem by taking the bag. Any good, responsible father would not give the bag to the kid that won't share. For God so loved the world that he gave everything away. And that's why we receive. And then it says, that's why Jesus, Philippians 2, is highly exalted. So he went down and died. Then he resurrected and had the right hand of the Father. So he was prosperous, but he gave first. Understand this principle. Listen, be steadfast, unmovable, always abound in the work of the Lord, and know that it will not go in vain. You want to get the bag? God wants to know where your heart is, and he'll figure that out with what you do with your treasure. Don't justify, just do it right. Listen, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, share this video, put some comments in the comments if you've experienced giving and how God watered you in return. And we want to hear that. We want to talk about that. Share this video. Until next time, let's go.